This really played out across all the other interest rate sensitive sectors as well. We saw the infrastructure pact also crumbling under pressure. Lanco Infra as well as IRB cracked a massive bit. IRB Infra down about 8% by the day's close. Lanco Infra also shutting shop at 36.65 levels, down about 9%. But among the other stocks in news, we had Amritanjan Healthcare, which ran up about almost 3% in a clearly down market ahead of the board meeting that's scheduled for today to consider buyback of its own equity shares. Mundra Port also, the company, we had the news coming out yesterday morning that they've agreed to buy Abbott Point Coal Terminal in Australia on a 99-year lease for about $1.8 billion Australian dollars. Ajanta Pharma and Dabur were the other big counters in news. Now, Dabur has acquired 30-plus energizing capsules brand from Ajanta Pharma. The company did not disclose the deal value, but the acquisition would be likely for less than 500 million rupees. So, Dabur India down marginally, but Ajanta Pharma down about 2% So, that's did rather poorly for itself. But amongst the other results that came out, Escorts came under a fair bit of pressure, down about almost 8% by the day's close. The quarter 4 PAT came in at about 73 crores versus 41.5 crores last quarter. Sales also showing similar sort of moves, up about 890 crores versus the 672 crores last quarter. SR Shipping, another one, down about 5% by the day's close. Quarter 4 revenues saw a bit of a tumble down, cracked to about 857 crores versus 909 crores, and PAT numbers also coming under similar bit of pressure.
Time then to get in a better perspective now as to the kind of levels that we need to watch out for in today's session. Sandeep Wagle now joins in, Managing Director of Aptat. Good to have you on the show, Sandeep. First question, obviously on the Nifty, it's broken 5700 level, which was a key resistance level just a few days ago on the downside. Do you think that there's more weakness to come, and what are the levels that investors keenly need to watch out for?
Well, yes, 5700 has been a very, very crucial level and important level, and over the last 1 month it has held as a very, very strong support, and once that is broken, more so it has broken it with a force and on an occurrence of an event, basically the credit policy, and the range now has shifted to 5500 to 5700. The range before this over the last 1 month was 57 to 5930. Now it is 5450 on the lower side, 5500 to 5700, and that 5700 level will act as a very, very strong resistance, and broadly over the next few days or possibly few weeks, 5450 to 5700, 5730 is the level we are watching out for.
Right, Sandeep, Realty really, the pack had been under pressure for the last few sessions, and the credit policy yesterday has also led to a big fall on that counter. Does it look like a good time to enter these stocks?
Well, over the last few months, the real estate sector has been performing well. But if you talk of the last 2 or 3 weeks, specifically in the wake of some of the news that has come out, that has not been so positive, and all those gains have been given up. So there is a chance that the bottom may be threatened. The prior lows or the all-time lows of many of the stocks, talk of a Unitech, talk of a DLF, talk of an HDIL, may be broken, and it may remain in this level or maybe even go down the lower than that and stay sideways. So I will not recommend an entry at this level. Let some more confirmation come in terms of the prices making a higher top, higher bottom. Then one can have a look, but not as of now.
Okay, so not looking to enter into real estate, but Sandeep, can't let you go without asking you your F&O strategy for this morning.
I think as a trader in a F&O space, one has to look at selling on every rally. Now, whether that rally or a substantial bounce back may come or not is the question. If you talk of the Nifty, I would be comfortable selling the Nifty May future somewhere between 5630 to 5680. That would be the level where I would like to sell it. Stop loss being somewhere around 5730, and I would look at a level of 5450, 5480 on the lower side.
Right, Sandeep, thanks so much for joining us and getting us that perspective. Well, time now to also get you the fresh brokerage picks that are just coming in. We're joined by Abhishek Vishnoi for the same. Morning, Abhishek.
Good morning, Megha. The banking sector, of course, is under the wrath ever since RBI policy has come. Now, Goldman Sachs has downgraded some of the stocks. PNB, for one, has been maintained a buy, though. The target price there, however, has been cut to 1350. Now, apart from this, apart from banking sector, we've got, calls on Patni and ABB from the house of UBS. UBS maintains the neutral rating on Patni, but they have cut the target to 475 rupees for this particular stock. And ABP, they maintained their sell rating, but they've cut the target from about 650 to about 590.
Abhishek, thanks so much for giving us all of those details. Time to take a quick breather on that note, but up ahead on the other side, you do have commodities which continue to reel under pressure. We'll get you an update on that in just a bit.
Get a 4-year warranty and much more when you buy a Philips TV.
Hi, Mike Hussey, Chennai Super Kings.
Hi, this is Doug Bollinger from the Chennai Super Kings. Watch your DLF IPL action anytime, anywhere on IndiaTimes.com.
Get recommendations of buy, sell or hold from the biggest market experts.
And hot stock tips that will increase your portfolio valuation.
You can join us live with your investment queries by calling us on 022-2483-7111.
Or you can email us at bnsn@etnow.tv.
Or you can also SMS BNSN followed by your name and your query and send it to 58888. Weekdays 11 to 12 only on ET Now.
Brought to you by Dhan Lakshmi Bank, Tan Man Dhan, Star Union Daiichi, Sunera Kal, Suraksha Har Pal, Blue Star, get office-like cooling at home.
We know how much your family means to you. Invest through Franklin Templeton Family Solutions and give your family the good life they deserve. To know more, call your financial advisor today. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
बेटा कुछ याद करने की कोशिश करो। याद आया, मैं थाईलैंड में ताता थैया कर रहा हूँ और केरला में रोमांस कर रहा हूँ। तू कौन है बे?
कुछ याद रहे ना रहे, याद रहेंगे MakeMyTrip.com के साथ बिताए पल। कॉल 1860-500-5000।
नाम याद आया? Make my trip।
Smart TV experience. Search any content, browse the internet, and enter the world of apps with the new Samsung Smart TV.
Four of the country's most influential investors come together to invest in India's most innovative startups. Are you India's next super entrepreneur? Starting Up presents Super Angels. Coming soon only on ET Now.
Brought to you by Make My Trip, Memories Unlimited.
Welcome back and thanks so much for staying with us on Morning Mantra on ET Now. Well, time now to take a quick look at how commodities are doing, and commodities remain under pressure, mainly on account of excessive supplies as well as continued profit booking. Gargi Parikh now joins us from the research desk with the latest in the world of crude oil as well as metals. Morning, Gargi. Crude, finally slipping and not doing well for itself at all.
That's right, Megha. Like you mentioned, it is high inventories that's affecting commodity prices. Crude, in specific being one of them. Crude oil dipping for a third day as U.S. inventories post, higher numbers this time around. U.S. oil inventories rose about 3.2 million barrels last week. And if you look at the open interest also, in New York, the oil futures peaked at 1.6 million contracts. And volatility, in fact, has been continuing since Monday when we heard of, when the US has announced that Osama is finally dead, and clearly since then we've seen a bit of volatility coming into this particular commodity. Look at silver and gold. Silver, in fact, last week touching its record highs. Since then we've seen a decline coming in, and in futures, in fact, it's been the biggest two-day decline since October 2008. high margin requirement at the COMEX also for silver futures is pulling down a bit of that trading coming in there. Look at gold futures, and again a decline, the highest decline that we've seen since mid-March, and silver holdings in the ETF in fact fall about 0.5% or so. Clearly both of them seeing a bit of decline, a bit of softness there. Copper in fact it's gaining after US factory orders have surged, but however, and since the last week in base metal prices, we've seen a bit of softness. Both, China's tightening measures, monetary tightening measures are weighing on most of these metals. However, today, copper at least looking fairly positive at this point.
Okay, thanks so much, Gargi, for pointing out those details. So it's an absolute crunch, not just across the precious metals, but crude oil also declining for the third day in a row on the back of those high US inventories. Moving away from the commodity space to currencies and really moving in tandem with the kind of weak local equity moves that we saw, the rupee, that depreciated further by 18 paise yesterday to close at 45.52 against the US dollar. It was really due to the continued demand from importers as well as some banks on the back of a firm trend overseas. So the trading range for the US to the dollar is likely to be about 44.30 to 44.80 against the dollar today.
And the dollar yen also crossed on Tuesday. It breached that 81 yen against the dollar mark for the first time since the earthquake. Now, coordinated intervention that was designed to stop the Japanese unit from spiking and further hampering struggling exporters. The yen has been quietly gaining ground over the past month, but much of this strength has come against a much weaker greenback, which was up nearly 4%.
Okay, we need to address the kind of moves that we're seeing in the commodity space further. So who better than Jonathan Bharat, Managing Director, Commodity Broking Services, to join in on the show. Jonathan, pleasure to chat with you this morning. Now, before Bin Laden's death, you already thought that oil was being too expensive. After the kind of correction that we've seen in the crude oil prices, do you still feel the same about crude oil being too pricey?
We still feel that oil, where it is and the value it is at the moment, is just far too expensive. There's obviously a lot of economics, a lot of fundamentals at the moment, and the world, I think, is actually changing in terms of its growth phases. And as such, because oil is such a primary import, we feel that at these levels will do more harm rather than good. And purely just based on those fundamentals, we feel that it is too expensive and we should see prices lower.
Right. Jonathan, despite the tumble that we've seen for crude, how much lower do you see oil heading towards?
Look, I think this will take it each step as it comes, but what we have found is technically it's worked off some very good levels, and 110.70 is one that we're really focused on because it's bounced off it about 3 times, and if we do see it trade through that level, then we could probably suggest that that will be a start of a trend lower. And I think our targets at the moment are looking around that 100 level as a minimum for this move. So it's quite a chunky move that we're looking for, but we'll see that move escalate on a break through those levels.
And with respect to Indian energy stocks, Jonathan, they've underperformed their peers globally because of the kind of local issues. How does the foreign investor fraternity view the Indian energy stocks?
I think with a word of caution at the moment, because generally we're seeing change occurring with those or change occurring particularly with those growth economies, and particularly India. Remember, India imports around about 75% of its oil needs. So obviously we're seeing a double whammy in terms of what's happening in India. We're seeing inflationary concerns, inflation moving higher, movements on interest rates, and of course also we're seeing the economy slowing down. So from that perspective, I think the international, we're certainly viewing it as just a cautionary note on oil or energy stocks in India.
Right, Jonathan, as far as the listed space really goes, there are very few stocks from the energy basket which are listed. Does this make it difficult for foreign investors to participate in the energy environment?
I think that's another key issue, because it is a limited space, that to participate just makes it a little bit harder. Remember also, a lot of those are actually state-owned, so it does become a little bit more of a concern because you really don't understand what's behind the machinations of the stock. So it is a bit of an issue. If it's a little bit more open, then I think you'll get more investors. Remember, at the moment, we're seeing a net selling of international funds in India, and that suggests, or sort of backs up the cautionary note that we have.
Well, time now to slip into a very quick break, but when we come back, we tell you Hero Honda's Q3 quarterly performance and the expectations that the street has from the company, all that and more in just a little bit. News.